Welcome back everybody. Today I'm pretty excited because I'm here at Sidmouth Skatepark in East Devon. Now Sidmouth Skatepark is relatively new. It's another one of those maverick skatepark creations. There's a good variety of obstacles here, some manageable looking street stuff if you like the street skating, and the thing that brought me here was the rather nice looking bowl. Now for the first time ever, this bowl is actually mellower and smaller in real life than it looked in the pictures. Usually what happens is I look at the pictures and I go, whew, that looks like a good one, and I get there and it's absolutely mental. So I was pleasantly surprised and pretty excited when I saw the bowl layout and the sizes of the shallow end and the deep end. I gave her a quick sweep out and I can't wait to get in there. And my goal today is to try and solidify a few tricks that I only do in certain places. I find that anything different feels different, and that usually stops me attempting the more scary tricks, and I just dip into my regular comfortable trick bag. So I'm hoping this more manageable bowl size will help me get a few tricks feeling more comfortable. Anyway, enough of my yakking. Let's get down to the bowl and check out the layout. So this bowl is laid out in a sort of kinked L shape. There's a shallow end, which I reckon is just over 4 foot, and it also doubles as a mini ramp, and that goes down a waterfall into the deep end, which I'd say is about 6 to 7 foot. There's an interesting looking hip and also a sort of clamshell over the top escalator bit on the other side. Now as this is a new spot for me and I'm going to try and push my limits a bit, I'm going to pop my pads on, pop my helmet on and get it going. First job is just to have a pump around, feel out the transitions. Well, this bowl is a cracking workout. Quite easy to build up a fair bit of speed. Doing a figure of 8 line, both starting front side and back side, just pumping that waterfall. And also, I was finding if I went fast enough, I could just miss out the waterfall on the way back up, which helped keep the speed. As I was going round, all that excess speed got me thinking about my first challenge, which is to try and launch out of the shallow end and land on the flat bank into the street course. That was a pretty fun challenge. I'm rubbish at ollies and flying out and doing anything in the air, so I had to draw a line on how many attempts I was going to take because it could easily eat up the whole session. Managed to make it over, and my goal was to clear the top and land straight into the flat bank. I just found it needed more speed, more knee bend, more courage, and also a good pump up the transition to try and float over the top. Eventually I made one. Ideally I'd like to go higher and further with better style, but I want to get back in this bowl, see if I can get a few 50-50 grinds going. Okay, I managed to get a few 50-50 grinds going. I started off trying to get one backside on the straight coping, and that quickly escalated into trying to get it from the straight coping around the corner. I have to be a little bit careful not to get carried away and burn off too much time when I'm trying these missions. And I knew I could get it, but every time I got it around the corner, it wasn't quite to my liking, and I kept on going back to the start, ended up burning a lot of time off. I found the key in the end was to stand a little bit more up on the grind, and that allowed me to get into the corner, and then I could just swish my hips around and finish off that 50-50 grind. The frontside 50-50 grind came a bit quicker than I thought it might. Again, I'm used to doing these on the curve coping in the pool, and the straight coping is a little bit alien to me, so I found the key was to go nice and fast, pump across the coping, keep my knees a bit more bent than I usually do, and also stay a little bit inside the ramp so I had somewhere to push off of to come back in. Okay, next up I'm going to see if I can get a bit of a 50-50 grind over that escalator. Crikey, that was a lot of fun. I know it won't come out in the video, but it's pretty scary going from the shallow into the deep end. And the way that this curved coping is made, I found it was always sort of coming back towards me, which gave me a bit too much friction, so I had to go fast. I found the key to getting across the top was to bend my knees a little bit more than I usually do for a 50-50 grind. And that just allowed me to pump up the coping, give me that little extra speed. And then coming down the other side, I found it was throwing me up onto the deck. So to start with, I was locking in with both toe side wheels against the coping, and then correcting it to a heel side wheel lock-in, cross lock, as I came down the straight bit and sort of just pottering towards coming back in. Eventually I got the courage to cross lock it from the start, and I found it felt best if I went straight over and then came straight back in without pottering along the coping. That took a little bit of bottle. At any point I felt that that back wheel could come off, and the bail was somewhere in between a knee slide and a run out, so I was just running out, but I reckon a knee slide would also work. Okay, next up I'm going to see if I can get a few things going in the deep end. Okay, next up I'm going to see if I can get a little bit of air over that hip. Okay, it's just started raining, the second rain of the day, so I'm going to call it a day. Those air over the hips were pretty fun. I've never done the Ollie version, I've always done a bit of a grab to keep the board on, so that was pretty scary. I just found the key was to go nice and fast and try and suck my knees up and just stay on the board. I tried to do a little bit of an Ollie motion just to keep the board on my feet, and I just about managed to clear the coping, which was my goal when I started to try and Ollie over that hip. Overall, this bowl is brilliant fun. It's so refreshing to have some sizes that are easy to work with, Managed to get a few things in the deep end. Also managed to go over that escalator, which was a little bit trickier than it looks, but still a lot of fun. That hip is really good fun. I'd love to come back and have a bit more time with that because I'm a bit rubbish at getting up in the air. And also any sort of 50-50 grind in this bowl is an absolute dream. The coping is set just right. Anyway, enough of my yakking. If you're new to the channel, feel free to hit subscribe. I make new videos every week. You can also follow me on Instagram at John Bishop Skate. As ever, my name's been John Bishop and I'm a middle-aged guy learning how to skate.